Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. I'm your host, Brooke Mitchell, and today's topic is Big Bites Meet the Strongest Mouths in the Animal Kingdom, presented by NatHab Expedition Leader Arpita Dutta. Thank you so much for being here, Arpita. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Brooke, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. As I always say, it's always been it's a pleasure to share whatever we are learning. And it's something new. Even if I come across, I always wait for a webinar that okay, when is the time I can share that this is something new I got to know. So it's been amazing. Exchange of knowledge keeps on happening between us. I mean, among us. So it's been incredible. So, talking about the bite force, and there is always a story that how come I come with the all topics while having I think I was having a burger and I literally tried it. I think it was a double patty burger, and I was trying to fit it in my mouth, and I took a really big bite. I was tried really hard, and few of my friends just started laughing at me saying, "You look like a monster." And how strong is your bite that you can just cut it off like this? And then they started laughing, and I just came back and I was reading some books, and I suddenly come with the crocs, of course, as I it's very close to me, all these reptiles. And I said, okay, let's do it. Let's dig little bit more to know about the strongest bites. We know a few, but about the rest. And while digging it, let me tell you all, it's a huge uh, interesting not only the topic, and it's interesting evolution that from where all these animals have started, like from 500 million years back to now. It's been definitely an incredible thing, but though we will try to keep it short, and I thought that I'll make it into section like part 1 and part 2. Part 2 will be dependent, of course, if you find it interesting. So let me start with it. Is So biting, I think it's one important factor, like for the animal world. For us, of course, we are included. Apart from if we have siblings when we are younger, we have tried a lot of our bite force on them. uh, might be. This is a very important aspects of an animal's like feeding behavior, and which shows their capabilities, that how the animal is. And these bite force are dependent on, of course, the muscle strength, the jaw structure, the dental alignment, and the sex and the age. Of course, gender and the size of the animal also depends on their bite force. So when we talk about the muscles, and sorry, so muscle strength is the size and strength of the muscle, and the jaw mechanism for different animals work little differently just because of the size and shape of it, but the structure and the leverage of different types of animals almost work in a very similar way. And the dental alignment and the health of the teeth, it is very important, definitely. And the muscle and the bone structure, with the age, a juvenile, an adult, or an old animal, they keeps on changing. So according to that, even the bite force changes. And the bite force of an animal is significant, their feeding habit, as I said. But another thing which they play an important role in the ecosystem as well, because by that we know what kind of habitat they live in, what kind of ecosystem, uh, in the ecosystem they are prevailing, what kind of food they are having. So in that ecosystem, what kind of prey base should be there for their survival. So we get a whole idea of it. And also for the current fauna, we get to know, by seeing all these structures, we get to know how their ancestors would have been and how the evolution have worked through ages. So for the bite, for this bite force, uh, mainly it's an involuntary action. Of course, voluntarily biting something would be involuntary biting something would be difficult. And so the maximum voluntary bite force is like an indicator of the functional state of the masticatory system. And now what? This masticatory is most like the chewing part of it, and also it's a system which has like muscles, a group of muscles which work together at the temporalis, where it's this part of the muscle, and then the masseter, which actually this masseter muscle is mostly like responsible for the strongest bite force. So depending on that muscle, depending and of the different varieties of animal, the bite force also varies. And the medial petrigoid is this area, and the lateral petrigoid muscles for this one. And so all these muscles, and of course which is attached to the upper part of the jaw, to that side, so those muscles are working together to give the animal the strongest bite force. And also what happens, and of course with that the level of, the maximum bite force results from the combined action of the jaw. That is another important factor for the biting force. I have shown all the humans so that we can relate a little better. So the action of the jaw like elevates the muscle, which is modified by, the jaw, how the jaw is working, the mechanism of that jaw, the reflex of that mechanism, how it is happening. So according to that, and there are few joint systems in the skull. So those are, so these totally, this all together make this bite force or the biting skills much more like infinite time. Sorry. So the great here the joints, who are the major joints in masticatory system, and the maxilla, the upper jaw, the mandible, the lower jaw, and the temporal bone. The temporal bone is over here. The here it is covered with the muscle though, but yeah, all these bones are important for that. And the great variation in the bite force depends on many factors related to it. Like with this one, imagine this is a human skull, but the function is also almost similar, and but it keeps on varying on the anatomical and the physiologic characteristic of different animal. Sorry. So what happens is the craniofacial morphology. Craniofacial, of course, how the facial bones and the ratio of those bones and joints, like the anterior and posterior facial height, which would be more like this if I see in this area. So the height and the width and the breadth of the inside the jaw would be one factor. And the mandibular inclination, this is the mandible. So mandibular inclination is in which way, like if you make your take your hand and make a V, putting your like thumb together, making a V. So that's like kind of an inclination, that in which side, how much inclination it would be. And then the gonial angle. Gonial angle is this one. That's from the lower jaw, the mandible, the temporal part from the lower jaw. So this also depends that how much pressure you can put. So with those, the periodontal support of the teeth is the factor with it. Of course, without teeth, nothing can happen. Like there would be a bite force, of course, but how much effect it's gonna put, that depends on the position of the teeth. So this is how it is formed. Like we can have an idea related to this. And so in there are many other ways. So all these muscles which work, if I go back, so all these muscles which work in different animals have like uh, this, how every muscle generate that bite force, This is depend that it depends on that, but also depend on these muscles fiber compositions. Like muscles composed of higher proportion of like fast twitching fibers can generate more force quickly and powerfully. So that also varies depending on the habitat and the feeding habit those animals are living in. And that also transferred genetically to the next generation over the years. Like that's how the whole evolution has happened. And also then the lever mechanism, which is very important, right? I'm very bad in physics, but this lever mechanism is a little bit easier. Thank God this is animal world. It's easier for me to understand, but I don't know how much I can make you all understand. So for this, I would say that if we are talking about the lever position, if this is like there are the fulcrum and the lever, so the more the thing is the function of the jaw as a lever system, where the point of muscle, suppose if I go back, the point of muscle which is like attached to the joint here determine the force of output, like exactly from where the muscles are joined with the bone here or anywhere which is where there is a joint. But the shorter the distance between the muscle attachment, like over here, the shorter, suppose this one, see, when the muscle like the distance between the muscle attachment and the fulcrum can is shorter, they can generate like force of the teeth, because imagine it's like a clip, or so it's suddenly if we have to like close our jaw with a speed, just like we can like a slingshot, it happens. So the muscle has to be like pretty close, like a rubber band. If we pull a rubber band and just leave it, if there is a short rubber band and if it's a long one, it might carry the distance, but the force it will carry, of course the shorter one would have, we have to put more force on that. So something like this happens in the jaw. And sorry, and with that, there's a lot of technical things, but the easiest way we could understand, we started to knowing about the bite force by the help of this transducers, which helps to measure the bite force like per square inch, how it has been. So they, this machine has to be put in between the two jaw, and also depends on at what arc this machine has been inserted, for which the animal, where animal can give the highest pressure. So they insert this machine, and when they snap, uh, the force, it actually electronically it shows the measurement of it, uh, the force measurement of it. So this is more like the psi we call, or in newton. So in psi it's like the pound per square inch, that how much pressure it is putting on 1 pound force, like it's applied. But while doing this for the bites force, we've been thinking that too many animals are having so many bite force, and definitely we are talking about the bigger one, you know, which is painful. But I think without any bite force, one of the painful thing I get here, I feel, is the mosquitoes. Oh gosh, I hate them. I don't know, but it's so, I mean, inside the forest while on the field, imagine I'm looking at something, or I'm just taking notes, and they're singing and keep on biting, and I don't know, they bite me a lot. But yeah, without any bite force, this is one of the most painful thing in the animal world we have. And yeah, but with that, uh, and when we talk about human, like with so many bite force, with so many animals, human is it's a negligible bite force comparing to these bigger animals we are going to talk about, or the rest of the animals we have in this on this planet. And so here human bite cannot even like puncture the skin unless and until it has been like crushed or somebody pulling it, or like intentionally doing it. So they don't break skin, and or breaking bones. It's very difficult for the human bite, which is only 162 psi. And so you can imagine, this is wow. But yeah, you can actually tear the steak. Like, this much of pressure is okay to tear a steak nicely. So this is how the human bite force can work on, with that, with the other animals. So with that, um, I would say, let's uh, let's go back to some stories. And talking about, like, many years back, almost in 2012, we got to know about the crocodile's bite force, like one of the strongest bite force. And but now things are changing. Science is every day, science is coming up with some new data. But when this one came in, and when we talk about the orcas, or the killer whale, how the name has been given, though, the killer whale. But for me, I actually fell in love with these orcas, and I don't know how many times I have seen them. They read their books, and like, read too many stories just because of this movie. And this is a free willy. I hope at least few of you have seen this. And it was released here in India in September 1993, I believe. And that time I went to see this movie, and I felt that, oh my god, this communication, this intelligence, their vocalization, I mean, which animal can be sweeter than this? And of course, being at almost 10 years, for me, it was so fascinating that you can communicate with that big animal. It's a big thing. So I think that that brought me to that ocean world, that opened the door for me to the ocean world. And yeah, and I was, and till date, I don't know how many times I have watched this movie. Still I do. And especially, I got so happy that when in 2002, that Free Willy orca, Kieko, has been released back into the wild. So yeah, it was a very happy moment after, like, so much of conservation work, and this effect of this movie. Definitely people had that feeling of setting them free rather than keeping them in the aquarium. And I think now, last for 3 years, I think all the dolphin projects and all the like ocean projects are doing amazing job for releasing, for freeing all the animals which have been, or the infants which have been born in the aquarium area. No more play, nothing is, they're protesting against it, and a lot of conservation and awareness is happening. I hope someday all the other marine life who are living their life in a smaller aquarium should go back to the wild. Yes, with that, of course, orcas, I mean, when we talk about these bigger animals, we talk about whales. But of course, their feeding habit and their movement, their way of staying inside, in this huge ocean, is very different than the orcas. And that's why they are called the killer whales as well. They are pretty dangerous when we talk about their feeding habits. I mean, they are the apex predator, and they don't have any natural predator in the ocean. And so the orcas are like true ruler of the sea. And though it belonged to the dolphin family, but while the adorable dolphin like they are, but their aggressive hunting behavior, their techniques, their strategies, it's definitely, they do the pack hunting like the wolves. I think they that make them much more special and dominant in that huge ocean world. And yes, over there. Let me know in the comment if any of you have seen orcas, or if you have ever signed up for this Alaska and Northern Adventure trips with NHA, and you got to see the orcas in that trip or not. Just let me know. I really don't have any idea that how much the sightings happens there in this trip. So yeah, uh, that's the thing. But yes, so orcas has the strongest bite now in the whole wildlife family. It is 19,000 psi. Imagine with like human, it's 162 psi, and where it is standing 19,000 psi. That's way more like stronger than we can even imagine. And so this is how they are. So they have this powerful jaw muscle. Look at this here. Though it is difficult over here, if you see the alignment of the teeth right behind and here, that's the jaw muscle which has started over here. And this masseter and the temporalis muscles are highly developed in orcas, and these large and strong muscle provides power to the jaw. And they have like robust mandibles, you can see here, and thick jawbone. So when we talk about thick jawbone, you can see here how thick it could be, though it's a side like lateral view of the jawbone, but it's almost like it's pretty thick to hold on to all the muscles and the rows of teeth and those powerful muscles which are attached to the jawbone. And together they can withstand uh, the significant force and can handle the stress associated with a powerful bite. You know, when you are putting a bite, like when we do shooting practice, when the bullet goes out we get a jerk as well, but these are the one which actually holds that jerk in a stable position. And the jaw and the lever system in orcas is highly efficient. So here, if you see, the short distance between the muscle attachment points and the jaw point provides a high mechanical like advantage, which I was telling before. So the shorter muscle and the joint, of course, it has the same mechanism, which actually provides us a stronger bite force. And they have this large conical teeth. You can see this, almost they can be 3 inches long. And for gripping and tearing the flesh, their teeth are well anchored in the jaw. And you know what, like 40 to 56 interlocking teeth, like which are around that whole jaw. So imagine when it gripping someone, like when it is grabbing something, it's really difficult to get out from that grip. And they have large robust skull. So if we see only this part of the, look at the body size of it and the skull area which is here, it's pretty wide. So the force it accumulates when it snaps the jaw, that that whole that broad skull gives the support and the strength to the jaw to snap it quite fast, as well as with that force. And with all these specifications, sorry, and with all the specifications, the power really like we can say that they are built for the kill, you know, and that's the reason why they have a diverse diet, like from seals, sea lion, dolphins, seabirds, fish, even whales. Like we have seen, I think, few, if you just google, you will be able to see some videos like orcas are hunting whales. And even sometimes when the whale is with a calf, they are hunting, they're trying to hunting down the calf. I think a few years back, 3 4 years back, this video was out. This has been shot, like a group of 3 4 orcas was attacking that whale calf. So yeah, they kind of eat everything in the ocean. And their powerful bite force allow them to quickly and efficiently like subdue the prey, and reducing. And I think this huge force which all these mechanics, like mechanical things which work behind it, reduce the energy, it needs to give or require during the hunting. So that it reduces its expenditure of energy, I would say. So yeah, that's how it is. And we know about like shark, of course, being a very ferocious uh, and great white shark, especially, like it's very ferocious. It's hunt down its prey. It does so many, and it's so huge. And imagine this shark has been attacked by orcas, and they have taken out only the liver part of it. This I have to go through a little more, that why they have this. This is not the first case. There were few more cases where they have attacked the shark, they have taken out all the organ, but have eaten the liver part of the. And I mean, I don't know how many they have done, or they do the same thing with other animals or not. But for the shark, and this one has been like got in the South African water in May 2017. So imagine when we are scared of shark, great white shark, the orcas are hunting down this big, massive shark. So you can imagine the power of their bite force. So, and yeah, so in case you come across like they are incredible and so intelligent animal, but at the same time they're like in behind their adorable face, they are now the animal which has the strongest bite force in the world. So with that, let's come that how it got predated after having so many magnificent characteristics of being a big predator. So the great white shark use their like almost 4,000 psi of the bite force to hunt down their prey, which is not even less. Um, and and they also feed on like seal, sea lion, other varieties of fishes, penguins, and other seabirds. And they are masters, when we talk about as a predator, when we see their sense of smell, their speed, and their way of ambushing. I think this whole characteristic make them a very interesting hunter. And I feel this is more like the tigers on the land. I mean, how they're solitary animals, but how they do all the strategy planning before pouncing on a prey or targeting a prey. It's like a very much calculative step they take. The shark is like the tiger of the ocean. So, and the shark jaw, like made of flexible cartilage. This is one thing. It's not the bone part. It's their jaw is made up of flexible cartilage, and that are capable of like detaching from the skull, and the powerful muscle. And there is a set of ligament that is attached to the jaw to the skull, and allows them to exert high biting force. The muscles attached to the jaw and over here, if we see the muscles which are attached to the jaw controls the movement of the jaw like other animals, of course. But over here, though it doesn't like show the exact way, I wish I could show some video out here that how exactly they exert their like detaching the how the cartilage is detaching from the skull. uh, but yeah, if you try to find out, you will get it. So yeah, this is what happens when they open their mouth. This is kind of the thing, like the cartilage, with the row of teeth, they come out, they kind of extrude from there. And imagine, I mean, how they open their jaw, like it's scary. And due to the like contraction of the specific muscle forces of the upper jaw out here, and uh, and what happens is the power between the upper jaw and the lower jaw comes downward, allowing that protrusion of the jaw. So imagine if we are pulling all these muscles inside, like downward, not inside, it's the downward. This thing, this jaw and this part actually comes out, it protrudes out. And that's how an expansive like opening of the mouth happens, where they go grab and just snap. And with that pressure of rows like serrated teeth, what it has also, so here sorry, I missed this. So here is the part where it exerts the pressure. Over here you can see the posterior bite point, and it's a combined muscular input which happens, so this things completely comes out and exerts that pressure. So yeah, and with that they have this serrated teeth, and there are rows of 5 6 rows of teeth, one fall off and the next one like comes in. So here, I'm sorry. So and and what happens in spite of this all teeth and all, of course they can't chew, so they kind of grab the prey or tear the muscle with the bone, and they just snap their head on the side to tear the flesh and the tissues from the prey, from the prey. And though they have like, and they have around 300 teeth, and none of them are like rooted into that cartilage row, they are embedded over here. And that's the reason why with that huge bite force of 4000 psi, sometimes they lose their teeth with the with the muscle, with the tissue. And but as I mentioned, like they don't have to worry, they have a lifetime guarantee of their teeth because they keep on replacing um, uh, like teeth for a lifetime. And here we get to see the shark. Of course, they are almost in the tropical areas, they are tropical and subtropical areas, the whole ocean is their home. And mostly this orange one, what you see, these were the like the fossils have been found in these areas of fossils of shark, but still they have their nursery in these areas. So yeah, wherever you are going, if is there. And of course I believe that you know better there, because we don't get great white shark in our Indian Ocean, like the northern part of the Indian Ocean. So yeah, um, that's how it is. But definitely they are pretty elegant, and they look really calm. And there are some adventure trips happens where the shark watching, I think in Cape Town, they do this shark watching adventure. So yeah, if you have seen any, or if you like to see them up close, but yeah, you have to stay inside the cage and watching them around. Uh, that's pretty cool, I guess. Yeah, with the shark, uh, let's come to another animal which is used to be known having the strongest bite force, and that used to make me feel so proud before the rest of the strongest bite forced animals came across. And that's the crocodiles, the saltwater and the Nile crocodile. So these two have they are known to be have the highest like bite force. And so they like both the species have extraordinary powerful jaw, of course, and their skull structure is like strong and compact, with the exceptionally powerful muscular like powerful muscles rather, for closing the jaw in that lightning speed. I think that way crocs are like amazing. You can hear the sound, my god. I mean, let me tell you, like, because we have saltwater crocodiles and I've been working with salties. I mean, if you get to hear that, if it is close by and they snap their jaw, seriously, you feel that something huge has fallen apart, or a huge vacuum, and the two doors slammed. If a vacuum, it sounds like that. And of course, if it is in the surface of the water, it makes the sound is much more like it echoes. So yeah, That's how strong these crocodiles are. And one more thing, let me tell you, for the skulls, as I was saying, it's the length and the breadth of the skull is also important, and also it is important like the distance of this jaw and the snout as well. So I'll say that after, even after having like this strong bite force, they are incapable of doing something, which I'll tell you later. So how like jaw works, and they have near about like 50 to 66 set of teeth. In case of gharials they have 110, and pygmy cayman they have around 60. So yeah, depending on the various species they have different, but for niles and salties they have 50 to 66 set of like long teeth, which can sometimes be 5 inches as well, and are often like they also lose their teeth. But again, beneath each one there is a replacement, like ready to fill the vacancy, uh, fill the vacancy. So and throughout their life, so they would always have a smiling face. And their jaw and muscle strength is so enormous that it can crush the skull of a pig head by like just by flexing the muscles from a standing start. Like that's a start. I mean, you just imagine the pig head inside the mouth and just a snap and it's done. That pig head, the skull can be crushed into pieces. So their joy, their force is that strong. And this also happens because they do have uh, their like the jaw muscles are attached to the neck muscle here, which imagine if the pull, if there is an extra pull from behind, that makes it much more stronger with the muscles which are working. Like if you're pulling it, the mouth is opening, you are releasing it, it is closing. So if there is an extra pull from behind, it makes it much more easier and much more powerful, right? And the crocs are also like incapable, they can't really chew as well. And for that they have an extra joint at the base. If I see the extra joint, it is more like here in this area. They have one extra joint which actually uh, in the base of that jaw, like where the joint of the jaw, so it keeps the jaw stable when they snap, like to keep the so that the jaw doesn't dislocate from there, or the jaw keeps stable. So that also gives another extra support for the force they produce behind. And so they can't also chew, of course. Though this is a captive crocodile, it's in the breeding center, so you can see the teeth, like they're pretty like brown. Otherwise, it remains pretty white. So yeah, what I was saying, that still having this big huge bite force, they're incapable of doing something, is just because of that extra joint and the position of the snout from the joint and the muscles where the jaw is attached is this. These are a very thin rubber band. This was the time when from releasing them back. So imagine this thin rubber band, and seriously, when I'm saying thin, it is thin. Um, there is just two bands where like there in their snout, and they can't even like open their jaw, in despite of having this huge strength in their mouth. And imagine the bite force of a crocodile is almost equivalent to 5 lions bite. uh, but still it cannot open their jaw if something is tied near the snout. Even sometimes we don't tie that, only hold the jaw together with hand, if it's a small one, of course. And then we release it, and it just cannot move its jaw. It's amazing to see actually. But another amazing part of like seeing a salty, knowing that it is one of the most aggressive, the largest croc, and with this bite force, how gently they use their teeth and their mouth while they pick their egg and the hatchling from the nest or around the nest. I mean, they're so soft that time. You can't even say that they are this giant predator. They are also the apex predator in that in their areas. So yeah, it is definitely, it's amazing to see that how beautifully they do that. And also at the same time, they have this the juvenile. And as I was mentioning, that it depends on the age of the animals. Also depends for crocs, when it's a juvenile or a hatchling, their teeth don't have this circular conical shape. They are more like a serrated shape, like very sharp triangular shape teeth they have. And it looks like a triangular, and they're very sharp because their food habit is very different when they're young than when they start growing up. I mean, I remember that one of my colleague was there, and the croc was coming out from the egg, and it was half out, and he was holding that egg in hand and was waiting for the croc to come out. It just opened its eye and it just bit on his finger, and the blood, like the blood was oozing out, and it stayed inside the egg only. Imagine how only half he was out, half it was out, and it bit that, and it closed its eyes, and it was like that. So it was funny to look at, but you can imagine how sharp a tiny, I mean, a hatchling which didn't even come out that time. So yeah, and salties can be definitely very aggressive. Even when they come out, they start fighting for their like they show their territorial behavior then itself. So yeah, with that, and of course this bite force first which we got to know has been happened in 2012, which has been done in a zoo, in a captive croc, and they had to know the bite force. So yeah, you can imagine, as I was mentioning, that you just need to see that which area the arc is important, which area the pressure would be highest. That has to be calculated first, and then you take the bite force. So this is the time when we got to know that okay, so they crocs have. And also Niles are smaller and less aggressive than the saltwater, but Nile croc has been found, like it has been like 5,000 um, psi, yes, your bite force. So almost the saltwater and Niles, they kind of vary between this bite force. And yes, they, as I was saying, they cannot chew as well. Look at the force over here. They just tear a muscle, and they do the roll. It's called the death roll. So you might have seen in the documentaries, or if you have been to Africa or in Australia, if you have seen a croc feeding. So they just grab the portion of the prey, and they start rolling, and that's how it tear not only the flesh, but it actually dislocate the bone, or it break the bone. The force of the jaw is so huge that it break the bone, and it tear the whole chunk of meat, and they swallow it as a whole. So yeah, and you can see that this jerk what they give, that's how the muscle get teared. And yeah, so for the salties, we have this Asian Pacific Australia trip if you want to see the saltwater crocodile. And if you have come across, please let us know. And how big, what is the biggest size of saltwater crocodile you have come across? And of course, if you want to see the Nile, you have to go to those African safaris. And also, if you have been, just let us know that how big. Because the reason why I'm asking this, if you have seen one which is exiting, like which is a very big, it is actually really good to have a documentation of that, because we are losing the big gene pools, like animals which can grow really big. They imagine there used to be 23, 24 feet of size of saltwater crocodile, but nowadays hardly we get to see. Even in Sundarbans, like where I stay, it's very close. That forest is where we get to see the saltwater, and also in Australia where we get to see it. Now hardly we are coming across this bigger one. Same thing happening for Nile as well. So yeah, documenting a big Nile or a big salty, it should be a huge, like a good documentation for science. And yeah, so leaving the salt water here, I am going to one of our, like who are very close to us, is the gorillas. And of course, like despite having a tremendous bite force, gorillas are primarily herbivores. And yeah, it's very like we have been talking about all the flesh eaters having so big bite force, and suddenly the gorilla comes in. But I thought that it would be nice to have some animal who shares almost 98% DNA of DNA with human, and having like having that bite force which is almost 1300 psi. And and if I say that it is even way higher than a lion. So like they mostly live in the, like their habitat. And imagine, like it's amazing that how the development or how evolution has transformed this animal depending on even the habitat they live in. I mean, this is the thing to think about. And imagine they kind of live in the tropical forest of equatorial Africa, and they mainly live on the ground, right? And they use their strong bite to strip the bark of the bark of the trees. But while on a fight, they do use their teeth. um, but the major important of their teeth is to tear and chewing, what we say, the masticating the huge quantities of fiber vegetation they feed on. And it is not also like about the teeth. uh, the massive neck and the jaw muscle give the gorilla one of the strongest bite force in the primate kingdom. And and of course, here if you see the sagittal crest, it forms, actually they have this crest on the top of their skull, and this one anchored the large upper jaw muscle for all the chewing they do throughout the day. And this gave them that powerful bite. I mean, you can say this has increased, or they have become like this, of the chewing, or the chewing capability. Like they keep on chewing, so the muscle, just like a gym, you know how we train our muscle gets stronger by doing weightlifting or all the calisthenic, and all the exercises we do is to trim and strengthen and increase the stamina of our muscle. The same thing happened with them, just by chewing, masticating this huge fibrous vegetations, the bark of the tree, the branches, the leaves, so much of fiber they keep on munching, that their jawbone and those muscles and this sagittal crest which I was talking about, like which holds the muscles over there, they grew stronger over the period of time. And this part, I mean, they have given so powerful by, like just by eating vegetations, though we cannot, like, we can be vegetarian, but it's difficult to go back to get their power though. But they are way more stronger than us, almost 10 times stronger than us, by just with all these functional things. And so if I say we can break a walnut, that is also sometimes gets difficult. They can break a coconut into pieces with one bite, and the result, of course, is showing in front of us. And this muscles and jaw bones, they make it very very special. And all these like teeth, and they have these molars, for, of course, they have to grind. So with evolution, they do feed on some snails, grubs, and these things, but their main food habit is the vegetation out there. But if we go back, we would see that their molar teeth has a lot of like crevices or lot of sharp edges, for which they were cutting. They're cutting, like, if I'm not saying grinding, but cutting and straightening the fibers or some muscles, it would be like that. But gradually they develop all these molars over here with those muscles, which help them just chewing. That's the thing. And yeah, that's make it amazing. And with 1300 psi, which is too big. But when we go out to see them so close, of course, we have to manage a lot of protocols and things. They have to behave nicely, though they are very close to us, but we have to behave nicely. But it's amazing to see them who are that close to our DNA, but performing such a different way of living. And their power, we can imagine by all these forces, which is definitely an incredible thing to see. So yeah, and I think I really want to do this, like the ultimate gorilla safari. Because you cover the whole area, the mountain gorillas and the silverback together, and it's the hike, the way you see them up close. um, I think that's an incredible sighting one can have, just to see them that close. Yeah, so this is in my bucket list, of course. And there are a few more animals in my bucket list, and also their incredible like bite forces work for them as well are these hippos, the seal, the leopard seal. They look pretty cute, but they can be way more ferocious than they just. I mean, the way we see them. The jaguars, the polar bear, I mean, there are some incredible features they work on, but anyway, altogether they almost like the behavioral way and their way of feeding are very different, but their strength, stamina, and how they are existing in this world for so many years, it's, I think that's another biggest thing we should look at or learn about. That's all for today. If you're interested, we can continue the part two. And I think the part two I'll bring with some conservation stories, like the how the extinction and all these things happen with evolution, and the conservation happen with it. But yeah, till now I'm till this, and yeah, I'm ready to take up questions.
Oh, Arpita, that was so interesting. You've got a biology lesson and everything, and then all these beautiful animals that you went through. Yeah, we do have some questions here, and a lot of people that chimed in to tell you where they saw orcas. We have Alaska, Galapagos,
Wow.
Antarctica. Where else do we see Prince William Sound on 20 and on our Alaska trip too? Where else have we seen some orcas in here? The Kenai Fjords National Park, the San Juan Islands. So it looks like lots of people have seen orcas, which is just fantastic. And we do
Thank you
have
so
some,
much. Thank you so much for
yeah.
telling this. Now I'm so jealous.
Yes.
Oh gosh, yeah, this is, I mean, imagine I have seen only Free Willy, like, oh, that was that how I fell in love. That's my love started for the orcas, and now I listen. But I'm so glad, like, to I can relate with your sightings, you know. I mean, that's an incredible feeling you all might have, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the great things about our community here is everyone loves to travel and we love hearing your stories. So always tell us. And I do have some questions about other species, but since you're going to do a part two, maybe that could be
Mm-hmm.
a little teaser. Maybe the species that you have here, we'll be talking about those. So that's exciting. We will definitely get that scheduled, everyone, so that we can hear part two. We do have a question here that is quite interesting. If you could go back to the Nile crocodiles. So, as we all saw, they have some teeth that are protruding on the outside of their mouths. Do they
Right.
ever bite themselves, or how is that avoided?
Wow. What a lovely question. I can talk about Crocs for the whole night.
Yeah.
Ajay, listen. So the thing is, for the Nile, as well as if I go back, over here you see. So the salties, as well as for the Nile crocodile, they do have these teeth, and sometimes the lower, especially what happens mostly the lower jaw, the some teeth they grow really big, and sometimes they actually pierce their own, you know, mostly this one, the just at the top of the snout, they pierce their skin, but after some time the teeth fall off, so they heal by themselves nicely. But it does happen, it does happen.
Wow, that's crazy. That reminds me when I was in the Pantanal, some of the
Hmm.
bigger caiman actually had their bottom teeth sticking through their nostrils at the top. So I have lots of photos,
Yeah.
which is it was just crazy. So that was a fantastic sighting. Of course, caiman aren't going to have the jaw strength of a Nile croc or the salties, but that's just that reminded me of that amazing sighting that I had. And
No,
wow, we are winding down.
no,
Only
but
2 minutes left of the webinar. So,
sorry,
Arpita,
I'll just
oh, go ahead.
sorry, Bru. I just add another point to this questions. I mean the answer. So
Yes, go ahead.
there was another part, right? Like they don't hurt themselves, right? That's what uh, the guest has asked. That they don't
Yeah,
hurt
yeah.
themselves. Okay. So what happens is, if I go back here, uh, where is, okay, see this, if I cannot even increase this, I don't know, can we just increase the size of the slide somehow? Can we do
Uh,
that?
I
No, we
I
can't do
don't
that.
think I have the ability. I'm
Okay.
sorry, dear, and
Uh,
go to
no, no, no,
webinar.
no, that's fine. So if you see, imagine the force they have put here to tear that muscle, right? Tear that flesh from here. But if you closely notice, you see all the teeth has their own locking areas, like where exactly they have the gaps. Okay, here you see there is no teeth here. There was a space for one teeth which has fallen off, right? And all these places, even if they're like so here you see it's all nicely placed, for which they always find the place for the upper jaw and the lower jaw all together, like a clamp, like a hinge. You know, it got in between. So even if the bite force is pretty strong, they really don't hurt themselves on their jaw or on their muscle. Only it happens when it pierces, it grow that big that it pierces their snout, that's a softer part of it, and it comes out from there. Yeah.
Wow, very
That's it.
interesting. Thank you so much for these lessons today. Yeah, we have lots of requests for a part two, so don't worry, everybody. I will work with Arpita to schedule that, and please stay up to date on your email and your e-news. We will make sure that you all know when that is scheduled so that you can tune in. So, Arpita, I will turn it back to you for any last comments for today.
Thank you so much for joining in, and thank you so much for listening so patiently. It's always wonderful for me to share, and hope to see you all soon, someday, somewhere. And thank you for letting me know that all of you have seen the orcas. Now I'll have a sleepless night, uh, and see you soon for the next webinar. And thank you so much, Brooke, for hosting it so nicely. It's been wonderful. You also
Oh,
have
it's
a
so
great day.
Oh, it was so wonderful, Arpita. But yes, thank you so much for taking the time to teach us all about these bite forces in the animal kingdom. And I would like to thank everybody for tuning in today. Join us tomorrow for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and I will get that out to you all by the end of the day. And with that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody.